I thought I knew what trust meant. 10 years with Diana, my wife had taught me that marriage was built on believing in each other no matter what. We had the kind of relationship people envied. Stable careers, a cozy house in the suburbs, plans for the future. But then Kimberly came into our lives more frequently after her divorce, and everything I believed about loyalty shattered in one night. What happened next was not just a betrayal. It was a calculated destruction of everything I held dear. Before I dive into what happened that night, I need you to do me a favor. Let me know in the comments where you are watching from, and if you have ever been in a situation where someone you trusted completely turned their back on you. Hit that like button and subscribe because this story gets darker before it gets better, and you will want to hear how I fought back. Diana and I met during our junior year at UC Berkeley. She was studying accounting. I was deep into software engineering. Our first conversation happened in a coffee shop near campus where we both reached for the last blueberry muffin. She laughed, I laughed, and we ended up sharing it over 2 hours of talking about everything from career dreams to our favorite hiking trails. That muffin turned into a first date, which turned into 4 years of dating, which turned into a wedding at a small vineyard in Sonoma County. Our marriage was never flashy, but it was solid. We bought a 3-bedroom house in Pleasanton, about 40 minutes from San Francisco. Diana worked at a mid-sized firm downtown managing accounts for tech startups. I worked remotely as a senior software engineer for a company based in Seattle. Our routines fit together like puzzle pieces. Morning coffee together before she left for the office, evening walks around the neighborhood, weekend trips to Tahoe or Half Moon Bay. We talked about starting a family soon, maybe in the next year or two. Trust was never a question between us. Diana had access to all my accounts. I had access to hers. We made decisions together. When her college friend Kimberly started showing up more often after her divorce, I did not think twice about it. Diana and Kimberly had been roommates at Berkeley, stayed close through the years. When Kimberly's marriage fell apart 3 months ago, Diana was devastated for her friend. She invited Kimberly over for dinners, girls' nights, weekend brunches. I supported it completely. That is what good partners do. They support their spouses' friendships. Kimberly was 33. A marketing manager at a boutique agency in Oakland. She had always been pleasant enough during the times we had hung out as couples over the years. Her ex-husband, from what Diana told me, had cheated on her with a coworker. Kimberly was understandably destroyed. She lost weight, looked tired all the time, and Diana worried about her constantly. The first time I noticed something off was about 6 weeks after the divorce was finalized. Kimberly came over for dinner on a Friday night. She wore a low-cut black dress that seemed more appropriate for a club than a casual dinner with friends. When she hugged me hello, she held on a second too long. I brushed it off. Grief does strange things to people. The next few times she visited, I started noticing more. The way she would touch my shoulder when she laughed at my jokes. How she would ask me detailed questions about my work, my hobbies, what I did to relax. Once when Diana was in the kitchen, Kimberly sat next to me on the couch and asked if I ever felt lonely working from home all day. Her hand rested on my knee as she asked. I moved away, made an excuse about needing to help Diana with dishes. I mentioned it to Diana once casually. I said Kimberly seemed to be getting a bit too comfortable. Diana laughed it off. She said Kimberly was just going through a phase where she needed male validation after her ex destroyed her self-esteem. Diana asked me to be patient, to be kind. So I was. Then came the night that changed everything. Diana had a work conference in Denver. She left on a Wednesday morning and was not due back until Saturday afternoon. I had a quiet week planned. Catch up on some coding projects, maybe play some video games, order takeout. Simple. Wednesday evening around 7, my phone buzzed. It was Kimberly. The message read, "Hey Collins, Diana asked me to drop off some food she made for you before she left. I forgot to bring it over earlier. Can I come by around 8? I found it a bit odd that Diana had not mentioned making food, but she had been rushing that morning. I texted back, "Sure, thanks." Kimberly arrived at 8:15. She carried a glass container with what looked like lasagna inside. She wore jeans and a tight sweater that left little to the imagination. I thanked her at the door, reached for the container, expecting a quick handoff. She smiled and said she wanted to make sure I knew how to reheat it properly. I hesitated but let her in. She walked past me into the kitchen, set the container on the counter, and started explaining oven temperatures and timing. I nodded politely, already planning how to wrap this up quickly. Then she opened my fridge and pulled out a bottle of white wine. Diana would not mind if we had a glass right. I could use some company tonight. I should have said no. I should have insisted she leave. But I thought about Diana asking me to be patient with her friend. I thought about Kimberly going home to an empty apartment alone with her pain. So I said one glass would be fine. She poured 2 generous glasses. We sat in the living room. She asked about my day, about the project I was working on. I kept my answers short, professional. I barely touched my wine. She, on the other hand, drank hers quickly and poured herself another. The conversation shifted. She started talking about her marriage, how her ex had made her feel unwanted, unattractive. She said she sometimes wondered if she would ever feel desired again. I gave generic responses, the kind you give when you are trying to be supportive but also want the conversation to end. Then she moved. One moment she was sitting in the armchair across from me. The next she was on the couch beside me, close enough that I could smell her perfume, something floral and too strong. Her hand landed on my thigh. "You know, Collins, you are such a good guy. Diana is lucky to have someone who listens." I stood up immediately. "Kimberly, I think you should head home. It is getting late." She stood too, but instead of moving toward the door, she stepped closer. Her hand reached for my chest. "Do not be like that. I just need to feel something good for once. Just once." I grabbed her wrist gently but firmly and removed her hand. "This is not happening. You need to leave. Now." Her eyes welled up with tears, but there was something cold behind them. She did not move toward the door. Instead, she pressed herself against me, trying to kiss me. I pushed her away harder this time, enough to create space between us. "Get out of my house, Kimberly." She stumbled back, and for a moment I thought she would finally leave. But then her expression changed. The tears stopped. Her face went blank. Then she smiled. Not a sad smile, a calculating one. Before I could process what was happening, she reached up and scratched her own neck hard enough to leave red marks. Then she grabbed the neckline of her sweater and pulled, tearing the fabric. She knocked over the wine glass on the coffee table, letting it shatter on the floor. I stood frozen, unable to believe what I was watching. She looked at me one more time, her eyes now filled with fake terror, and ran out the front door. I heard her car start. I heard her tires screech as she sped away. I stood in my living room, surrounded by broken glass and spilled wine, trying to understand what had just happened. My phone rang 5 minutes later. It was Diana. Her voice was frantic, broken. "Collins, what did you do?" Kimberly just called me. "She said you attacked her. She said you tried to force yourself on her. Tell me she is lying. Please tell me she is lying." My mouth went dry. My hands shook. "Diana, that is not what happened. She came on to me. I told her to leave. She did this to herself. She tore her own clothes, scratched herself. I swear to you. Why would she do that? Why would my best friend lie about something like this? I do not know, but I am telling you the truth. You have to believe me." There was a long silence. Then Diana spoke, and her voice was different, distant. "I am flying home tomorrow. We will talk then." She hung up. I did not sleep that night. I sat on the couch replaying every moment, every word, every action. I knew how this looked. I knew that without proof it was my word against hers. And Diana had known Kimberly for 15 years. She had known me for 14. Diana came home Thursday afternoon, a full day earlier than planned. She did not hug me when she walked in. She did not even look at me. She went straight to the guest bedroom where Kimberly was waiting. Kimberly had come to our house that morning. Diana had called her, told her to come over so they could talk in person. When I heard the doorbell and saw Kimberly standing there with a small overnight bag, I felt my stomach drop. Diana let her in without a word to me. They stayed in the guest room for over an hour. I could hear crying. I could hear Diana's soothing voice. When they finally came out, Kimberly's eyes were red and swollen. She would not look at me. Diana wrapped her arm around her friend protectively. Diana finally looked at me. We need to talk. Alone. Kimberly went back into the guest room. Diana and I stood in the kitchen. She told me everything, Collins. How you kept refilling her wine glass. How you kept complimenting her. How you cornered her when she tried to leave. That is not true. None of that is true. Diana, you know me. You know I would never do that. I do not know what to believe anymore. Then believe me. Believe your husband. The man you have known for 14 years. She looked away. She is my best friend. She has no reason to lie. And I do. She did not answer. Over the next 2 days, Kimberly stayed in our guest room. Diana catered to her every need. Made her tea, ordered her favorite takeout, sat with her for hours. I was pushed to the margins of my own home. I slept on the couch in the living room. Every time I tried to talk to Diana, she found a reason to cut the conversation short. I felt like a stranger in my own life. On Saturday morning, I checked the doorbell camera footage. I had forgotten we even had it. It was a Ring doorbell I had installed 6 months ago for package deliveries. It recorded video and audio from the front porch. I pulled up the footage from Wednesday night. The video showed Kimberly arriving at 8:15. It showed her leaving at 9:02, running out the door with her clothes torn. But the audio was everything. I could hear our entire conversation. I could hear Kimberly's voice low and flirtatious. I could hear myself clearly telling her to leave. Multiple times. I could hear her saying, I just need to feel something good for once. And then right before she ran out, I could hear fabric tearing. I could hear her breathing heavily, deliberately, making noise. I saved the file immediately, backed it up to 3 different places. I walked into the kitchen where Diana was making breakfast for Kimberly. I need you to listen to something. She looked annoyed. Collins, not now. Yes, now. Right now. I played the audio file on my phone. Diana's face went pale as she listened. Her hand covered her mouth. When the recording ended, she just stood there staring at the phone. Kimberly must have heard it from the other room because she came running out. When she saw Diana's face, she knew. Diana, I can explain. Diana held up her hand. Do not. Just do not. Kimberly's face crumpled. She started crying, real tears this time. I am so sorry. I was so lonely. I was not thinking straight. I just wanted to feel wanted again. I never meant for it to go this far. I waited for Diana to tell her to leave. I waited for my wife to apologize to me, to choose me, to stand by me now that she knew the truth. Instead, Diana said, I need some time to think. She left the kitchen, left me standing there with Kimberly. Kimberly looked at me, and for a brief moment, I saw something like regret in her eyes. Then she followed Diana. I thought the truth would fix everything. I thought once Diana heard the proof, she would see clearly. I thought our marriage would survive this. I was wrong. Sunday morning, Diana sat me down at the kitchen table. Kimberly was still in the guest room. I believe you now, Diana said. I know she lied. I know what she did. Relief flooded through me. Thank you. I knew you would see the truth. But I also know she is struggling. She is in a really dark place right now, Collins. Dark place. She tried to destroy my life. Our life. I know. And that was wrong. But I cannot just abandon her. She has no one else. What are you saying? Diana took a deep breath. I am taking her to Napa for a week. There is a wellness retreat there. I think it will help her heal, help her get her head straight. I stared at my wife like she was speaking another language. You are taking her on a vacation. After what she did, it is not a vacation, Collins. It is therapy. It is helping a friend who is clearly having a breakdown. And what about me? What about helping your husband who was falsely accused, who was almost destroyed by her lies? You are strong, Collins. You can handle this. She cannot. I felt something break inside me. Not just anger, something deeper, something final. So even knowing the truth, you are choosing her. I am not choosing anyone. I am trying to help someone in crisis. You are choosing her. Diana left for Napa Valley with Kimberly the next morning. She packed a bag, loaded Kimberly into the car, and drove away. She told me she would be back in a week, that we would talk then, that everything would be okay. I watched her car disappear down the street. Then I picked up my phone and called Nathan, my best friend since college. I need a lawyer. Nathan did not ask questions. He just said, I will text you a name right now. By Tuesday afternoon, I was sitting in the office of Gregory Winters, a divorce attorney with 20 years of experience. I told him everything, showed him the audio recording, showed him the text messages from Diana about the Napa trip. Gregory leaned back in his chair and said, "You have a strong case. What she did, choosing to support someone who falsely accused you, even after knowing the truth, that shows a fundamental breach of the marital relationship. You can file for divorce on grounds of emotional abandonment and breach of trust. How long will it take? In California, there is a 6-month waiting period minimum, but we can start the process now. I recommend we also document everything, every communication, every action. Protect yourself." I signed the retainer agreement that day. Wednesday morning, while Diana was at some spa in Napa Valley with the woman who tried to ruin me, I transferred our joint savings into a separate account in my name only. Gregory had confirmed it was legal since the account was opened before the divorce filing. I documented every cent. I changed the locks on the house. The house was in my name only. I had bought it 2 years before we got married with money from an inheritance. Diana had never been on the deed. I packed up her belongings carefully. Clothes, personal items, photos. I put everything in labeled boxes and stacked them neatly in the garage. Thursday, I sent an email to both our families and our close friends. I attached the audio recording. I explained calmly and factually what had happened, what Kimberly had done, what Diana had chosen to do afterward. I did not editorialize. I did not add drama. I just presented the facts and the evidence. The responses came quickly. My parents were horrified. My sister called me in tears, furious on my behalf. Diana's own brother called and apologized to me, said he could not believe his sister would do this. Friday afternoon, Gregory served Diana with divorce papers. She called me 30 seconds after she was served. "Collins, what are you doing?" Her voice was shaking. I could hear Kimberly in the background asking what was wrong. "I am doing what I should have done the moment you chose her over me." By Tuesday afternoon, I was sitting in the office of Gregory Winters, a divorce attorney with 20 years of experience. I told him everything, showed him the audio recording, showed him the text messages from Diana about the Napa trip. Gregory leaned back in his chair and said, "You have a strong case. What she did, choosing to support someone who falsely accused you, even after knowing the truth, that shows a fundamental breach of the marital relationship." I did not answer. Saturday morning, she showed up at the house. I watched through the window as she tried her key and realized the locks had been changed. She rang the doorbell. She knocked. She called my name. I did not open the door. She sat on the front steps for 3 hours, crying, calling my phone, texting me. I forwarded all her messages to Gregory. Finally, Nathan came over. He walked outside and spoke to her quietly. I could not hear what he said, but after a few minutes, Diana stood up and walked back to her car. She drove away. The divorce took 8 months to finalize. Diana fought it at first, tried to argue for reconciliation, but I never wavered. Gregory was excellent. We kept everything documented, everything professional. Diana had no legal claim to the house. We split our other assets 50-50, no alimony. Clean break. Kimberly disappeared from both our lives. I did not choose her over you. I was trying to help her. You took her on a trip after she tried to destroy me, after she lied about me, after you knew the truth. That is choosing her. Collins, please. Can we just talk about this when I get home? There is nothing to talk about. You made your choice. I am making mine. You cannot just end our marriage like this. You ended it when you drove away with her. I hung up. She tried calling back 17 times that night. The hardest part was the disappointment. I had believed in us. I had believed that when things got hard, we would choose each other. She taught me that sometimes the person you think will stand beside you is the first one to walk away. After the divorce was finalized, I took a month off work. I flew to Iceland, rented a car, and drove the entire ring road alone. I hiked glaciers, soaked in hot springs, photographed the northern lights. I gave myself space to grieve the marriage, the future we had planned, the life we would never have. But somewhere between Reykjavik and Akureyri, I realized I was not grieving anymore. I was healing. I came home to my house, my space, my life. I started rock climbing again, something I had loved in college, but given up over the years. I joined a photography club. I got promoted at work. Nathan set me up on a few dates. Nothing serious, but it was nice to remember what it felt like to be valued, to be believed. A year after the divorce, I ran into Diana at a coffee shop in Berkeley, the same one where we had met all those years ago. She looked older, tired. She smiled nervously when she saw me. "Hi, Collins. Hi, Diana." We stood there awkwardly for a moment. "How are you?" she asked. "Good. Really good, actually." She nodded. "I am glad. You look happy." "I am." I did not answer. Saturday morning, she showed up at the house. I watched through the window as she tried her key and realized the locks had been changed. She rang the doorbell. She knocked. She called my name. I did not open the door. She sat on the front steps for 3 hours, crying, calling my phone, texting me. I forwarded all her messages to Gregory. Finally, Nathan came over. He walked outside and spoke to her quietly. Sometimes people ask me if I regret how I handled things. If I think I should have given her another chance, tried counseling, worked through it, my answer is always the same. When someone shows you who they are in a crisis, believe them. When someone chooses to stand with the person who hurt you, even after knowing the truth, they are telling you exactly where you rank in their life. I deserve better than that. Everyone does. She hesitated, then said, "I am sorry. For everything. I should have believed you. I should have chosen you." I looked at her, this woman I had loved for so long, and felt nothing but a quiet sadness for what we could have been. "I know," I said, "but you did not." And that told me everything I needed to know. She looked like she wanted to say more, but I picked up my coffee and walked toward the door. "Take care of yourself, Diana." I did not look back. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose your own worth over a relationship? How did you find the strength to walk away? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe so you do not miss more stories about standing up for yourself when life gets tough. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they deserve better. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that you are stronger than you think, and you always deserve to be chosen by the people who claim to love you. Take care of yourselves out there.